Welcome to Pucks, Putts, and Properties. He's Danny Taylor. I'm Mark Strand. Century 21 is our brokerage. Danny, what is happening?
Well, first we need to address the same shirts. We came in today and you're wearing my shirt. This is not.
Well, I was here
not
first.
Planned. Fair. Okay, you win that. The other thing that we didn't talk about, and we probably should have addressed this in episode 1, is your last name. The correct way to say your last name is what?
3 acceptable pronunciations.
Okay.
My family pronounces it Strand.
Okay.
Which is like just ignoring a whole pile of letters in the name.
I don't know how you would like just ignore 3 letters of a last name that has what? 9? That's a third of your last name.
Hey, man, I'm done trying to argue my family's point on it.
Okay.
The proper Scottish pronunciation is Strachan.
Okay.
And a common pronunciation in Ontario is Strong.
Strong. So
yeah.
just take
so
out
there's famous Bishop Strong from the Toronto area, and then a street named after him in Toronto, Strachan Avenue.
But Strand would be acceptable. It's just Strand.
No one's gonna, unless they know that I pronounce it that way, no one is gonna pronounce my name that way.
No. Other than me. So if you were, say, it's like Russian language would just go Stran, right?
Correct. Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
Fair.
Yeah. So what's going on in your life? What's latest in your business?
No, just working away, buddy. Listings, it's definitely a buyer's market right now. Not as many showings happening. I think we talked about it 2 episodes ago, where you have to be better for less. You got to get ahead of it if you're looking to sell. Obviously, some people want to wait until the springtime. But if they're buying and selling, you're going to be spending more on the buying end if you're going to wait till then there at that time. And I can guarantee you there's going to be a million other listings in the spring as well. So message, I think, on my end right now is just make sure you do your homework. You do your work not only at home, you do work on your pricing. You make sure it smells good. You make sure it looks good. You make sure you're priced competitively, and you will sell. And we've seen houses go. They're in multiple offers if you've done all 3 things. So there are buyers out there. We are coming into the slower part of the market. But like leading into this next point, we're going to see a rate announcement here on October 23rd. What do you got here, Mark?
Yeah, I think next week it's got to be at least a 0.5 percentage point that we're dropping. You alluded to it in the last episode. The US is cutting their rates, and we sort of seem to follow suit in Canada with whatever's going on in the US. Mm-hmm. And it's got to be at least a 0.5 percentage point. Our inflation rate is down to 1.6%. So inflation has really, really come down to a comfortable point. It's time to start cutting rates again.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do. That rate announcement will be on October 23rd, and obviously we'll be blasting what the Bank of Canada does on that date. September stats came out. I don't know if you want to shed some light on the last month's stats and kind of where we're at, but it was more or less the same from August, where we're firmly in a buyer's market. I think we're well over 4 point or even to the 5 months of inventory. And can we talk about the difference between the average price and the median price and the difference between the two?
Yeah, I just feel like our higher priced homes on the market right now, anything over, I'll say 600 is really slow. It's your average days on market for those properties is higher. Our lower priced homes are moving. So if you're looking at, if you've got a lower priced home in our market right now, you're looking at making a move to upsize. There's an opportunity there for you, because those higher priced homes are sitting and your home on the lower end of the market will sell. So if you're in that situation right now, I welcome you to give Danny or myself a call, because certainly an opportunity there right now.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. Yeah. Going into, I mean, what's going on your end as far as the family front, non-real estate related? Let's talk about you. What's going on? What's the latest and greatest?
Amazing news this week. So my dad, a little over a year ago, was diagnosed with, sorry, I actually might get a little emotional talking about this, but he was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin lymphoma, and it was quite progressed. He was stage 4B, so the outlook, was pretty dicey for him. And he rang the bell this week. He is his last scan didn't reveal any cancer cells of immediate concern, and we're just so grateful for all of our healthcare workers, all the support my family's received through this journey, and to a year ago to know that we'd be here now, like we'd have given everything, right? So
Yeah.
what I said to my dad, they live up in past Thunder Bay, so I don't see them a whole lot, but I call them, it's every other day that I'm talking to them. And, what I said to my dad is, I'm not ready for that phone to not be answered. And, we don't get out of this life alive, right? But I've got more time. We've bought some time, and we're just so grateful. So grateful that he's healthy, and you know what? He's really active again. He's out,
That's awesome.
he's out hunting, he's out fishing. We're an outdoorsy family, so he's doing all the things that he's passionate about. And they're back working at their property. They live off the grid on the north shore of Lake Superior. It's a pretty cool spot that they've built there. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm really happy, obviously, for you and your father. But can you back up the bus a little bit? That you're a hunter and a fisher. Can you talk about you hunting, Mark? Because I don't see that.
No, I can't, because I said he's a hunter.
Okay, you don't participate in that. Like, you got to be outside.
I would, but since moving down south, there's fewer opportunities there. If I were up north still, my uncle and my family would be dragging me out there to, I used to go duck hunting with my father. I didn't really go deer hunting, and you can hunt moose up there too. Have you seen a moose in person, Danny?
I don't, but one of my clients is actually just going today for like a week moose hunting. And yeah, he told me the other day that if they all he needs is one big one, and that usually feeds the family for the winter. Obviously, you got to bring it to the butcher within the first couple of days, but those things are massive. Like, I couldn't imagine. And Joe Rogan actually talked about it on his podcast probably last week about how when you catch these things, they're so heavy. They're like 400 or 500 pounds, and you're out in the wilderness. You're up 1,000 pounds.
They can be, yep.
Yeah. So and
like a bull moose is it's like, it doesn't look real when you see it in the wild. I'll just say that. Like, they're so massive, it doesn't look real.
Yeah. So you catch these things, take them down, and then you got to transport these things back to the butcher before like the meat goes bad, like that. And some people just do it like solo. So like, imagine going there and back trying to get these meat, like basically your game for the winter. And you got to
I don't really want to get into the process on this podcast, but I'll just say, if you're by yourself, this is what I'll say. You're not pulling it out in one piece.
No. No.
But so you did say hunting and fishing. I do enjoy fishing a lot. Actually, one of the other agents in our office here might be heading out tomorrow in a couple lakes you'd be familiar with, in Rock Lake and House Lake in the Verona area. So might go. It's going to be one of the last opportunities this season to go fishing. So I might be on the water relatively early tomorrow morning.
Can you talk about the transportation that you use? Are you in one of these like little kayaks? Are you in a canoe? What are you using for a boat?
So quite the opposite. It's a 20-foot pontoon boat.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so I could put like 6 of us fishing on this thing, so it's quite the opposite. Yeah,
just trying to paint the picture here for the audience. And then, are you catch and release guy, or are you basically taking good size fish and then eating it later?
Depends on the day. Yeah, I don't like to overfish those lakes. We need the fish to be healthy in those lakes. Those lakes get a lot of traffic, so I really don't want to see the stock depleted. So maybe you might keep 1 or 2.
Yeah. Nice. Good man. Cool.
Tech Corner. Aaron Richardson, one of the brokers in our office, brought a drone in today. I am blown away by both the cost and what these technologies offer now. This thing follows you, and it's worth $250. So you can film a video, have this thing follow you around at $250. That's what drones are down to now.
I am so freaked out with drones. Like we that's great. I'm glad we're into the technology, but can you imagine this spy plane is like literally following you now for the rest of your life if you wanted it to?
I'd rather not think about that, but
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I don't want to go off the deep end here on the drone sector, but you're right. Like this is where the world's going, especially with the warfare that's going on in Russia, Ukraine. I know, like it's so scary. But I mean, as far as realtors and listings and stuff like that, like what a cool little piece of technology that can actually help capture the house and the actual feel of it without actually going to the house.
Right.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll have to take a gander at that, but also would be also good at making videos as well. If you got something there that's a camera, that's technology that you don't have to obviously have a cameraman following you around because that's always awkward. So yeah, that'd be a great little piece, especially inside an NHL locker room, right? Like I don't know if you saw that NHL face-off.
I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, amazing. Like really highly recommend it. I really hope they do it again this year. They do get right into the space and almost there when you shouldn't be there. And I know there's times where there's like the locker room is very a sacred place. But I thought they did a really good job of trying to like really get a deep dive on the players and what they're actually like, behind the scenes. Because a lot of people put these players and think that they're like just machines and they're not even human. But, behind the curtains, like they're just people at the end of the day, and they're doing a game that they love. But yeah, that drone technology is certainly an interesting part. But we talked about another subject today later this week. Want to talk about some of the...
I do. You brought it up, so you go ahead.
Well, yeah. Well, it's you got the Mark Zuckerberg glasses going on right now with the AI technology. Yeah, did you take a look at the video?
I did. I kind of saw this coming, that eventually we're going to move to technology where you're communicating, sending messages, and like it's almost like your thoughts are being shared now versus having to send a text on on your phone, that you have your computer like right on your eyeballs, right?
Yeah, I mean it's very innovative, and I bet you the productivity would actually go through the roof. I just find it's very scary when you get this kind of technology, and I feel like the way that the world's going and how good technology is, it's starting to become, for the longest time, human beings are like the head of the food chain. Well, now it's like it's only a matter of time before technology, if it's already there right now, where that technology is the head of the food chain, and it's like you control almost everything with your eyes. And as soon as they get their eyes, like it could be game over, right? It's that between advertising and controlling what you see and click on without it actually going on a computer screen is pretty scary, but also can be productive as well.
What scares me on a personal level, that knee-jerk reaction when you see or are made aware of something?
Yeah.
The time period that you have to process and filter your response is shortened. Yes. I'm afraid, that knee-jerk reaction's gone before you even know it, right? Just because the speed in which we're beginning to communicate is just so fast. And can you imagine responding to something without really realizing? Say you've had a couple cocktails one night and you wake up the next day, it's like, oh my God, what have I done? Right?
What have I done?
That's what scares me, is just the speed of communication and not having that time to think something through. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's going to get shorter and shorter and shorter, but really good, cool products that are coming out. Obviously, between the drones and the glasses, just got to be really careful. Man, the way that the things are going here down the road. But
so a little puck talk here.
Yeah,
want to talk goalies?
Yeah, we talked about it earlier this week. Like Canadian goalies right now, if you got to choose your roster for the Olympics, so it's not it's the Four Nations, right, in February. It's not really the Olympics because I don't know if Russia's involved in that.
But say it were the Olympics right now,
Yeah,
who
like
would we have?
I think you got to have like 3 or 4 options, but I feel like it's tough because like when you look at the Russian goalies, you got Bobrovsky, Vasilevsky, Shesterkin, Sorokin. Like any one of those goalies would be Canada's number 1, and they've got 4 of them. Studs, like top 10 in the world, studs. But for Canadian guys, I mean, I think like Sam Montembeault looks really good for the Canadians right now. He like really early. I think Aiden Hill's got to be a big candidate. He's won a Stanley Cup and he's a giant in there, so he's got to be a candidate. And that's Stolarz too. I mean, he's a bit of a journeyman, but man, he looks really good for the Leafs. He's got to get into the conversation here. I would say, obviously, Carter Hart was there for a while, but obviously he won't be available. Marc-Andre Fleury, like he's getting up there, 40 years old. I don't know if he'd be in the conversation. But after that, like I feel like I might be blanking out, but I can't see anyone else right now in the running.
Does Stuart Skinner make that list?
That's a great question. I think he's got to be there, right? Like he was that close to a Stanley Cup, Stuart Skinner. I just don't know if he's got it at that level. Like if he's going to be playing like the likes of Eichel, Matthews, obviously McDavid's Canadian, but you'd almost have to surround him just because I don't know if he's quite there yet. You've seen the struggles right now with the Oilers, and they've won the last 2, but I mean it's not as if they're shutting down teams with their goaltenders. They're giving up quite a bit, so it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out.
So we do have a Cup champion that you've missed,
Matt Murray,
Jordan Binnington.
Gotcha.
Bit of a loose cannon, don't you think?
Jordan Binnington, Matt Murray, I think are almost. I know even Matt Murray's not even in the NHL right now, but I'd put them almost in the same category. You just don't know. There's such question marks.
Right.
You'd almost rather go with a young guy, to be honest with you. That's unproven, but you know that has showed a lot of promise and takes up a lot of net. And you almost want a goalie that's just not going to lose you a game instead of win you a game. And I think that has a big check box for me. It's like just don't lose the game. And I know that might shift the mentality a little bit because I feel like Canada's obviously going to have a great roster. And honestly, with Skinner, it just seems like sometimes he lets in that one squeaker or that one goal that kind of breaks the team's back sometimes. And obviously, he had a great run, and it was 1 goal away from winning a Stanley Cup. And I'm not trying to bash Skinner because he's obviously a hell of a goaltender, but when you get to that elite level, there's only a handful of guys that can play there. So, yeah.
So you're assigning the Team Canada C this year. Let's say hypothetically. Are you changing the guard and going with McDavid, or are you still going Crosby?
Crosby all day until he retires. He is the GOAT, 100%. Yeah, and you know what? McDavid's yet to win a cup, and honestly, until he can win one, he's always going to have that over his head. And he was obviously so close, but I'd be betting on him to win one before he retires. But I don't know how many he's going to get, right? Because obviously he's in year 10 now, I think. And given just the salary cap and what he's going to be making and the pieces around him, I don't know if they have what it takes to make another run. I hope they do. But, I mean, obviously, it's going to be an exciting season right out the gates for not only for the league, but also for the Olympics that are coming, or the hypothetical Olympics, right? So, yeah, what else we got here? We got some pucks, putts. What's going on in the golf world?
Nothing. Golf is pretty quiet these days. Yeah, I guess to be honest with you, Danny, I haven't been following it since the President's Cup. We kind of go into a bit of a dark period right now with golf. There's some events, but I haven't been watching. I haven't been tuning in. Yeah, but we do have a couple great interviews coming up following our little chat here. We've got Sandra McKenna, top performing agent within our brokerage. She's got an amazing development that she's representing, a builder out in Odessa, Golden Haven Homes out there. And we've got a stager, Roger Wilson, that's coming up also. And we've got those great interviews. I think everyone will enjoy those interviews that will follow this little chat here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Looking forward to it. They're great guests. They got a lot of insightful information, and I think everybody will enjoy it.
Welcome Roger Wilson, who's a home stager with Inside Out Homescaping, to the podcast. Welcome, Roger.
Hey guys, how are you?
I'm
Doing
good, Roger.
great. What inspired you to start your own home staging company, and what keeps you passionate about it today?
I moved to Kingston about 12 years ago to take a senior executive job, and after a few years I was downsized and felt to pull back to Toronto. I'm not a Toronto guy, so I worked in Toronto for a while, but by then I'd fallen in love with Kingston, and I thought, why am I driving back and forth to Toronto? I should start my own business. And I thought about, what jives with what I like to do and what I'm good at, and what fits with my schedule, and home staging just seemed to fit the bill. I love, kind of decorating houses and tweaking how houses look. I like doing gardening and garden cleanup. So it was kind of a neat little niche that I could do, especially as the only male stager in Kingston. It was a real kind of differentiator.
Yeah, actually, that was going to be my next question is how does your approach differ for some of the others in your industry?
Well, I think it's probably, fairly, home stagers exist to help realtors and their clients, maximize the sale value of their house and optimize the way the house looks before the listing photos are taken. I think what I bring that is a little bit different is, if needed, I can do, kind of an outside curb appeal cleanup and trim hedges and clean up gardens and stuff like that. But on the inside, I'm also able to physically move furniture, and relocate stuff. Sometimes by myself. Sometimes if there's another person in the home that can give me a hand, I can do that kind of thing. Another thing that differentiates me is I don't have a warehouse full of furniture. I have a house full of literally hundreds of pieces of artwork and greenery and decor items and bedding. So all those kind of smaller things. But when it comes to the furniture, I rent it rather than buy it. That means I don't have to buy it. I don't have to store it. I don't have to move it. I don't have to assemble it. And it gives me a wider range of furniture that I can use specific for the needs of the house. I'm not using the same couch in every single house. If I needed to do kind of a Scandinavian design to show off a waterfront property, I can rent furniture from Toronto if needed that really fits the vibe that I'm going for from a design aesthetic.
Nice. Going through houses right now, is there one or two things you could tell people that you see a common trend on with home staging?
I don't know if it's a trend so much as there's, a few golden rules that hopefully every stager is applying. One is certainly to declutter. It's often about taking stuff out of a home rather than putting more stuff into it to showcase it to its fullest extent. You want to make sure there's a good flow in the home and rooms aren't feeling overly crowded and cluttered and hard to walk through. Mm-hmm. Another one is depersonalizing for sure. So taking down family photos and diplomas and things like that. I'm sure all stagers are telling people to do that. One of the things that I can do is then backfill, rather than have a whole bunch of holes in the wall, I can come in and bring in additional artwork to replace the stuff that you took down. Deep cleaning, before a listing, nothing turns a prospective buyer off more than a dirty, grungy home. So that is money well spent. Even windows, cleaning windows, things like that. Those are all good things to do.
Question on the depersonalizing of the house. I think this is probably one of the ones that we debate as realtors. Do you take all the family photos down and then present it as if this is not your own house anymore? Because a lot of people have a hard time letting go that the house is there before the house is even sold. So we were talking about that today in our, within our brokerage, is that sometimes you have to get into the mindset before you get your house sold or listed. You almost have to pretend that the house isn't yours now. Can you talk a little bit about why it's important to take, I guess, the family photos down, or the, you know, the college or university degrees?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I often tell people how you live in your home is not how you should be selling your home. So yeah, when you live in your home, surround yourself with things that bring you joy and pictures of your family and your grandkids and whatever. But when you're selling your house, the whole point of staging and listing your home is to make it as neutral and as, you know, attractive to the biggest possible base of home buyers out there. And a big part of that is depersonalizing. You don't want prospective buyers walking through a house and looking at, you know, being distracted by pictures. There might be gorgeous pictures of you and your family and your last vacation, but the more time people are looking at those pictures, the less time they're seriously looking at the house. And by also taking down those pictures, you let people envision themselves living in the house. You don't want them walking through thinking of the family that lives there now. You want them to walk through and think, wow, this could be our house. You know, I could see us living here. And if you take away those visual distractions, they're more likely to get into that mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously we stage homes to have it, A, have it sell quicker, and B, get more value out of the property. Are there specific metrics or examples you can share on how staging affects home selling price and speed?
Yeah, you know, back to kind of the kind of golden rules. Another one that I really try to focus a lot on, and perhaps some stagers don't take the time to do this, is to bring rooms back to their intended purpose. So I'm sure you guys have seen a house where the dining room has been converted into an office, you know, or a kid's play area or something, or two of the bedrooms are just pure storage. You know, if you're showcasing a 3-bedroom home, you want to show 3 bedrooms, and you know, you can do that. You can also kind of double up one of the bedrooms as a kind of swing space office / bedroom, but make sure you highlight the fact that there are those bedrooms. A dining room, it's totally worth renting a dining room table and chairs to come in to turn a dining room back into a dining room, so people can see that's the original intent of those rooms in that house.
Yeah, that was actually going to lead into my next question. It's like we were talking about that the other day at our brokerage, like how important it is that that the function of the room is actually showed of its use. Where would you rank, like, I would say, the function of the room? I guess, you know, the fit of the room, like, does the pieces of the the furniture actually fit the age of the house, right? Because sometimes you see that where it's a brand new house, but they got old furniture, or vice versa, old house, new furniture. And then obviously, does it fit the space, right? Can you rank those, like, in order of importance?
Absolutely. I would say furniture that fits the space is the most important. You know, part of the job of a stager, you know, there's no one answer or one layout that works for every house. Every single house is unique and brings with it, you know, a unique set of awesome things about the house that you really want to showcase, and kind of weird things about the house that you want to downplay. So, you know, one of my pet peeves is vacant listings. So seeing realtors that have a vacant listing, my head just wants to explode when I see that. So hard for people to walk through. You know, an empty house is a house. A furnished house is a home. And people are actually out in the market trying to buy a home. So you want to make that emotional connection with prospective buyers, and furniture is a big part of it. Furniture can also, like in an odd shaped layout, you need to kind of show people, if the room is empty or it's poorly laid out, that's what people are going to remember. It's like, how would we even use that room? It just seems so weird. But if you can envision, okay, how would I lay out furniture in this particular room to showcase, the really great aspects of it, then people can wrap their head around it. And sometimes there's odd attributes of the room, like maybe an angled fireplace in a corner. Like, how do you lay out the furniture around that? Or where would the TV go in this room? And I don't ever really kind of focus staging around a TV, but if there's an existing TV there, I certainly work with it and incorporate it without making it the focal point. I want the focal point to be the fireplace or the beautiful picture window, or the view outside, or a fabulous piece of artwork, or something that's going to draw your eye and really make that room look good.
So we've seen a flip in the market completely over the last 3 years. 3 years ago, we were in a heavy seller's market where, of course, you'd go in, stage a property for a week, come back and get your stuff because it was sold for 100 over list price, right?
Right.
How are you battling now that we're in a buyer's market? Properties are sitting longer, and what advice can you give anyone who's looking at selling a home?
It really has been an interesting few years. And as you point out, 3 or 4 years ago, during the pandemic, pre-pandemic, during the pandemic, yes, I would stage houses and they would often be sold in a week or 2 weeks. And, people ask me, do you ever charge for how much more the house sells for over asking or whatever? No, I don't. It's kind of dependent on the amount of effort I put into it. And it would be very hard to prove any kind of causal relationship between, exactly how much, the staging contributed to the sale price. But I do know that it definitely raises the sale price without a doubt. It's just hard to put a number on it. A few years ago, you either had people that would bring in staging and it would do the trick and the house would sell in a week, or the market was so hot, some agents would say, well, why would I even bother with staging? The house is going to sell itself. All I need to do is put a sign in the yard. And again, those are agents, A, I don't really want to work with, and B, I wouldn't recommend to friends, because if they don't feel that it's worth putting a little bit of time in for their clients to help them showcase their house to its ultimate extent, then I don't think they're really one of the top agents in the area. Today, as you correctly point out, houses tend to be staying up longer on the market. So staging is a little more of a commitment because you might be renewing it for past that initial month. It's usually a 1 month contract at the beginng. But you get a sense within that first month. So much of it's dependent on pricing too. A lot of sellers today are still in the mindset that they're going to get the same prices that houses were selling for 3 years ago. So I don't envy your guys' jobs as realtors trying to bring them down to reality to say that's not the world we live in anymore. But regardless of what the market's like, staging helps sell a house. There's absolutely no doubt about it. The last one I just staged, 2 weeks ago. I staged it on a Monday. The listing photos were Tuesday. The listing went live on Thursday, and it sold 3 days later with 3 offers for $70,000 over asking, which is almost unheard of in this current market. So that says something about the power of staging.
Yeah, you know what? And it's funny. Last 3 weeks, obviously, I've got some listings here. Showings are a little bit slower, but on the buying end, I've lost 3 times in multiple offers because the house was staged. But leading into my next question here, can you talk a little bit about smells, like the cleaning products that you might offer to a house? Because you could walk me through the nicest house that's well staged, but if it has a pet odor or a cooking odor or a smoking odor, I don't want to live in it. So can we talk about maybe some of the products that you use or some of the things that you can provide as well to mitigate some smells in houses?
Yeah, I haven't really had to do that very often. A lot of time, if there's pets in a house and they, maybe they're used to laying on the mat at the front door or something, the easiest thing to do is to get rid of curtains that smell or, mats that smell. But if the smell is in the carpet itself, that's a tough one. There are products out there that you can use, for serious smell issues. You can bring in an ozonator, which I don't have, but I know is available for rent. And those actually, people have to be out of the house as you're running it because it's introducing ozone into the atmosphere. But it's one of the best products on the market for dealing with strong smells. It's the same type of thing that I imagine a service master or somebody would have to deal with after a fire or a flood, where you're dealing with moldy smells or smoke smells.
Nice. Yeah, well, that's great advice.
Can you tell us about one of the most challenging homes that you've staged, and how did you make it work?
Yeah, well, so corner fireplace, that is always an interesting challenge. And, we all grew up in houses with our parents. The furniture was always pushed right against the walls, in our living rooms. The couch was against one wall and there was couches on the other wall, and you could drive a truck in between the two of them. When I stage a house, I really like to set up conversational seating areas. So if it's a great room, in a brand new beautiful build, rather than have couches spread all the way around, I like to make things much more intimate and maybe have two couches or a couch and a love seat, or a couch and two chairs, just separated by a coffee table and all tied together with an area rug. It creates a much more, warm conversational feeling. And it's just a matter of how do I lay that out in the room? And again, every room is different. You might want to have the fireplace as the focus. You might want to have a great piece of art hanging over the fireplace. You might have picture windows. I staged a brand new build out on Nicholson Point Road that had floor to ceiling windows, and that was such a fun one to stage. Vacant homes are without a doubt more fun to stage because you can create, the look you want to look all the way through the house and really have it tied together. But even if it's a house that's occupied, you have to kind of go with the nature of the house and the nature of the people that are living in the house.
Mm-hmm.
If it's people that are still living in the house while it's for sale and they have children, you have to take that into account. They can't live in a bubble while their house is for sale. Mm-hmm. So I'll use different, products that, aren't breakable. I always try to keep the living room as an adult only space, and, find a corner where, yes, you acknowledge there's kids in the house, but, you play up the kids' bedrooms as their space. And if there's a family room in the house, you have a toy area or a play area in one part of the family room, while the other part might be a TV viewing area. So every single house is different. There's always unique challenges, and it's
Mm-hmm.
What I enjoy about it is the problem solving aspect of, okay, what's the best way to showcase this particular house?
Nice. Yeah. If I'm another realtor or clients that want to get a hold of you, Roger, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, I've got a website. Name of my business is Inside Out Homescaping. You can give me a call on my cell phone at 613-328-7107. And my email address is roger@insideouthomescaping.ca. And one of the best things I can encourage all realtors to do, even if you decide you don't want to stage, I think every listing should have a staging consultation. So that's my starting point. I've got agents that I work with that bring me in for a staging consultation for their client on every single new listing they get. Even if it's a beautiful home that looks like there's nothing that needs to be done, there's always some little tidbits that come out of that. So for $300, usually paid for by the agent, it's a great value-added service that you guys as agents can provide to your clients to differentiate yourself, to say, this is why you should be using me. I'll bring in somebody that'll work with the clients. It's a full room-by-room evaluation. It's a 19-page report customized for every client. And at the end of it, I sit down with the clients and say, here's what I would do to clean up your room, room by room, to clean it up, to declutter, change bedding if need be. And if, a lot of the stuff they can do on their own just to maximize the visibility of their house before the listing photos are taken. But if they do need help with staging, I'm there to provide that. And it's up to the agent and the client to figure out who wants to pick up the tab for that. Again, it's in the grand scheme of things, it's very affordable, and the money spent on staging is going to probably pay for itself 10 times over easily.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah. Danny and I want to thank you, Roger, for coming on our podcast today. And he's Roger Wilson with Inside Out Homescaping. And again, thanks for joining us today, Roger.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I love what you guys are doing here. I think it's a really neat thing, and hats off to you.
Yeah, thanks for coming, Roger. Much appreciated. Some great insight today. So thank you.
Okay, take care.
Thanks a lot, Roger.
Take care.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
I'm super excited to welcome Sandra McKenna today to our Pucks, Putts, and Properties podcast. Sandra comes to real estate by way of being an educator and is one of our top producing agents here at Century 21. And we're going to be talking about a development that's going on in Odessa. I want to start with your unique background as an educator and how you transitioned from teaching background and how it influenced your approach to real estate.
Okay, well, I was a high school math teacher for a long time, 22, 23 years. I have a degree in economics from Queens and a degree in education. My husband and I have built, well, we're on our 11th house now. So we have been in the building process pretty much our whole lives since we were kids. My family is also builders in the city of Kingston. And so I've been around, I think, building and real estate forever. And for me, I think it was just like a natural progression. I love numbers and I love decorating. I have a degree in interior design. So I think it was just kind of something that ended up working out. When I finished teaching, I just didn't know what I was going to do. And the offer just presented itself. My real estate agent was Mary Compo, who was a fantastic real estate agent and a really good friend. And she really encouraged me. And it's been 4 years and it's been fantastic.
Yeah, we lost Mary a few months ago. I never had the privilege of meeting her, but I know her through reputation, and
it's unbelievable. She was very honest, and she was such a hard worker, and people loved her. And I think, it was great for me to have her as a mentor because I got to see the best. And so, yeah, it was nice. It was very sad when she passed.
Mm-hmm. So focusing back onto the development, Golden Haven's the development, Golden Falcon Homes is the builder. Can you give us a quick rundown on the 4 model homes at Golden Haven?
Absolutely. So we have 4 models to choose from, which is a nice variety. Each model, you can tweak the floor plan. So if there are things about it that you don't want or things that you do want, the builder is incredibly flexible on accommodating you, which is amazing. We have 2 2-story and we have 2 bungalows. We have a bungalow that's just over 1,100 square feet. It is a price point of $605,900, and we have a bungalow that is over 1,300 square feet. Price point on that is $629,900. Both of these models are fantastic. And again, they are 2-bedroom, 2-bath, but you can tweak them. The bigger one, you can add an office, main floor office. There's lots of options there. We have 2 2-story. Our most popular is the Haven View, and it is just shy of 1,900 square feet. It's a 3-bedroom, amazing floor plan. And then we have the Legacy, which is a 2,600 4-bedroom. Absolutely fantastic. The Haven View has a price point of $689,000, and the Legacy has a price point of $762,000. Again, all of these homes come with a separate side entrance. Loyalist Township allows you to have legal secondary suites. So this is a fantastic opportunity for people that are looking to have somebody pay their mortgage off with them as a legal secondary suite, or perhaps you have in-laws that want their own space, or you've got older children that also maybe want their own space. The builder will finish the basement for you, or you can finish it yourself. But it's an amazing opportunity to have that option, even if you decide you don't want it right now. Maybe down the road you decide you do. So lots of great options there. We have 80 plus lots. Quite a few of them are sold already, but they are 40-foot lots, which is amazing. And they're all detached homes in this subdivision. There are no towns or semi-detached.
Yeah, and something I want to talk to you about is the price point of these homes. In our market right now, it seems like the more expensive listings, like your $1 million listings, are really sitting right now. So I think this price point is a really strong one in our market right now. Your thoughts on that, Sandra?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I have several higher end listings and they are a tough sell right now. The market is quite interesting. And I think that we need to educate buyers a little bit better on what's going to happen very shortly. I think what's going on is everybody is anticipating a decrease in the interest rate. I'm pretty sure that's a given. What people don't understand is eventually this is going to lead to higher prices. And if somebody is looking right now and they buy a home, even if they don't close on that home for months, they still get the lowest rate, whether it's today's rate or the rate 2 or 3 months from now. If you've got a good mortgage broker, you can lock in a rate, but they will also honor lower rates. So waiting till the rates go down is probably not the smartest move. This price point is right in the pocket of where a lot of people are looking. There's no guarantee these prices are going to stay where they're at. As the market heats up, as we have more demand, simple economics says, of course, supply and demand dictates price. So when we see less supply but more demand, then we're going to see prices go up. Right now, we're still in a buyer's market, and this is the time to buy. I think the price point on these fits a lot of our demographic looking right now. And I think there's a lot of opportunity here for somebody looking to sell and maybe move up, or to sell and maybe move down, depending on your family situation. But yeah, I think the price point is really great for a new build.
Agreed. What would you say makes Golden Falcon Homes stand out as a builder?
I think the model homes are incredibly modern for today. If you drive around most subdivisions, you're going to see a lot of cookie cutter houses. I mean, just drive around Kingston. You could point out the builder. I think I could for sure, depending on where you are. The builders in Kingston tend to stick to something because it works. And, you know, they've been building here for a long time. I think that Golden Falcon is bringing a unique perspective here, and we're seeing homes that we haven't seen before. I think the quality of build is fantastic. And that's definitely one of the comments that we get from other agents that come in, from a lot of people. The quality is there. The price point is there, and the aesthetic is there. And, you know, come and see the model homes. I think you will be very pleasantly surprised on how they look.
How do you look at the differences between representing just a family selling a home versus working with the builder?
The building process is a lot different. A lot of people have never built a house from the ground up. This is something I've done many times. I'm quite aware of the process. However, when you walk into a house that's already built as a buyer, you can see everything. You walk in, you feel the space, you see it. Maybe you don't like the paint. Maybe you want to change the cabinets in the kitchen, but they're there. When you buy a new build, you're not being able to see it necessarily. Yeah, we have 3 models for sure, but you don't see what you're choosing perhaps in that model. So you have to pick things very quickly It's not something you can wait until the end. Everything has to be chosen up front. And a lot of people find that pretty daunting. So it's my job to really try and walk people through, to listen to what they're saying, and, you know, offer my suggestions. I'm pretty good in interior design, and, you know, I think the price point is important. You can put a lot of upgrades in a house, so you have to be careful there. These homes come with a voucher for 5 appliances. They come with granite countertops. I mean, they come with a really, really, really nice finish, but everybody wants to put a little bit of their own unique style into it. But it can get away with you. So you have to be really careful. And I think that's really part of my job, is to just, you know, kind of rein people in and say, you know what, that's at this price point, is that something that, you know, you think you can afford? So it can be a really daunting process. So, you know, you just have to be, I think, a lot more patient. The other issue, of course, it's a lot longer process. Somebody who's looking to buy a house with me this weekend might pick one out and close it in 2 months, where somebody who's going to buy a new build will pick one, but they won't close for maybe a year. So, you know, it's a very, very, very different process.
Odessa specifically, what makes it an attractive location? And again, specifically to this subdivision, what's the draw out there?
Well, I think what's happening is there isn't a lot of space left in, let's say, the Kingston area, whether it's Kingston East or Kingston West. Kingston is pushing out for sure, and we're expanding. Odessa is becoming sort of part of that Kingston West now. It's also really close to the 401. You are a very quick drive from this subdivision to the 401, and then you can get anywhere in 20 minutes. It's also very close to Amersfoort, so you have a lot of amenities there. We also have heard there's going to be some things happening in Odessa, and perhaps there's going to be some public transit there very shortly, which is incredibly exciting. I just think that Odessa is offering a nice feel, somewhat out of the crowded subdivisions in Kingston, but still very, very close to anything that you need.
How can people get in touch and view these homes? I know we're staffing it. I'm one of the agents who happens to be staffing it out there. But talk about our process of inviting people out and having them have a look at the model homes. Absolutely.
So, I mean, anybody can contact you or me. They can look us up. Happy to provide information to anybody. We can send information electronically. We're happy to field phone calls. But I really think that people should come and see us. Our models are open daily. Feel free to reach out if you can't come during model home hours. Any one of us would be happy to meet you there and walk you through and show you the product. So feel free to contact myself or Mark. Feel free to contact Century 21, and they can put you in touch with us. But definitely come and see us at the models. I think that's really the best way to do it. And it's supposed to be really nice this weekend, so it might be a nice weekend for a drive.
Yeah, these homes are listed on Dusenberry Drive, and you can have a look on the listings to see the open house hours. They're listed right on there. I want to thank Sandra for joining me today and talking about this amazing development that we've got with Golden Falcon Homes, Golden Haven Development in Odessa. And thanks again for being on with us, Sandra.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Have a good weekend.
Danny and I would like to thank our guests, Roger Wilson and Sandra McKenna, for being on today. And thanks for tuning in to episode 4 of Pucks, Putts, and Properties. Thanks again, Danny.
Absolutely. Before we wrap this up, what do you got going this weekend here, Mark?
A couple open houses out in Elgin, property I just listed. Again, might be going fishing tomorrow morning. How about you? You on the road this weekend?
Yeah, on the road showings. And then obviously both kids. I mean, 5 games total. It's actually the Greater Kingston Showcase weekend. So if you show up, first game starts at 10:30, I believe, and goes all the way to 5:30. So there's a game all the way through the day. I think there's some alcohol being provided at a secure location that you can go and enjoy the game from. And that's at the Invista Center here this Saturday. But running the roads with work and the kids with hockey, and life is good.
Just another day in the life of a realtor with a busy family, eh?
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
I'm sure the listeners enjoy those, Sandra and Roger, and we'll see you guys again next episode. So thanks
Yeah,
again,
thanks
Mark.
for tuning in. Bye for now.
Take care.